The road to Backlash is on, or we're on the road to Backlash. We'll just keep it that way. We're on the road to Backlash, and we see quite possibly one of the best SmackDown main events in recent history, and in this personal opinion, since the new era and draft began. What's going to main event SmackDown's Backlash pay-per-view event and the introduction of some new championships? Let's talk all this right now on the Smackdown Rebound. Hello everybody, my name is Connor, OKayFabe, your official OneWrestling.com and OneWrestling.com video SmackDown video correspondent, right here for another fantastic edition of the Smackdown Rebound. Thank you guys for tuning in once again for my continuing coverage of the Blue Brand Smackdown as we head to the very first pay-per-view special Backlash that is being presented by SmackDown only exclusively on the WWE Network September 11th. We got a lot of things to cover this week. SummerSlam Fallout, new championships, and a main event that just makes your jaw hit the floor. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. Apparently I can't breathe anymore anyway. But of course, guys, you guys know this whole deal by now, I'm sure. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe and like button to see awesome, more amazing content from everybody here at One Wrestling and OneWrestling.com. Make sure you head over to OneWrestling.com for all your latest wrestling news. And of course, follow the entire OneWrestling.com family on social media. Links down below, including Twitter at One Wrestling. And of course, the legendary, the iconic Bill Apter at After One Wrestling. And don't forget to follow yours truly, Connor, aka OKayFabe at Twitter. And of course, check out my YouTube channel where I do all sorts of other wrestling related coverage as well too. All those links down in the description box below. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section of what you thought of this week's SmackDown. Now, we're going to kick things off with, of course, the show being introduced with AJ Styles gloating backstage about his victory over John Cena and kind of rubbing in the face over a distraught Dolph Ziggler, and they have to end up breaking them up in the end. Don't worry, that's going to set up something much, much later. But here's the big thing, of course. Here's the big thing everybody else is talking about. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon kicking off the show, introducing two new championships exclusive to SmackDown. You have the SmackDown Tag Team Championships and the SmackDown Women's Championship. They announced that there will be a miniature tournament to crown the new SmackDown, or first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions, which will end up having the finals at Backlash. But also at Backlash, the first time ever, a six-pack women's challenge. The winner of that match will be, of course, the SmackDown Women's Champion. This is, of course, featuring Becky Lynch, Carmella, and I believe, I'm trying to remember all the names here. Becky Lynch, Carmella, Naomi, Nikki Bella, Natalya, and Alexa Bliss. That match is going to be amazing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the meantime. But of course, the big thing that everyone was talking about on social media and of course all over the place was the design of the championships. So needless to say, everyone online necessarily wasn't the best fan of the Universal Championship when it made its debut at SummerSlam, and needless to say, a lot of people were kind of upset about this when it comes to the design of the Women's Championship, which is essentially the same design as the current WWE Women's Championship over on Raw, just with a blue background, and the WWE SmackDown Tag Team titles are essentially the same design as the current WWE Tag Team Championships held by New Day, but with a silver instead of a bronze look to it, with a blue strap on each of them, if I'm not mistaken. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the designs of the championships, and the main reason is because of the differentiating ability. You can kind of look at it two ways. My big thing is that I think that now that there's actually a prize on SmackDown, the fact that you're going to have a women's champion and a SmackDown Tag Team Champions going to make things interesting as far as the divisions. They're not just free-floating all of a sudden right now because of the draft. So now you have actually teams like American Alpha and Breezango and the Usos, which again I'll get to in just a moment, vying for a prize. And that's always a good thing to create a championship, and as long as there's depth in a division, I'm a happy guy. As far as the championship designs themselves, yes, in my personal opinion, I'm not a big fan of the championship designs because all the belts look extremely similar. You essentially just switch out the color schemes and more or less the designs are the same. My personal opinion, again, just my personal opinion, I would have personally brought back the old SmackDown Tag Team titles that we saw back from 2002, the blue and gold ones. Bring back those old classics. And why not bring back the Women's Championship that we saw during the illustrious Attitude Era, the red circled one that we saw that people like Lita and Trish Stratus held during the Attitude Era. I would be personally happy about that, but of course I want to hear you guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. But interestingly enough, the hottest free agent in wrestling breaks things up. Heath Slater demanding to be in this tag team title tournament, and Daniel Bryan makes an ultimatum for him. He says, guess what, Slater, I'll make you a deal. You find yourself a tag team partner and you win this tournament, and you'll get yourself that SmackDown contract. I mean, how can you argue with the guy? He's going to win your tag team titles. You're not going to give him a contract? I mean, come on now, seriously. But anyway, let's get to the first matchup of the night. Becky Lynch against Alexa Bliss tore the house down, in my opinion. Fantastic matchup between the two. It really makes me intrigued. Becky, of course, winning with her armbar submission. Really makes me intrigued to see what this women's division of SmackDown is going to do. Again, like I was referring to earlier, you have a women's championship now on SmackDown. I'm very curious to see how it's going to be presented, how it's going to be molded, and it's going to make things very interesting. I do want to see a little bit more depth in the women's division on SmackDown. Right now, as far as I can see, there are only 6. I'd like to see up to 10 on SmackDown eventually, maybe calling some more people over from NXT down the road. I mean, can you imagine Asuka in there? She tear it up. But anyway, 6-pack challenge happening at the Backlash. We had also the first matchup in the first round of the tag team title tournament. But say that 3 times fast. Between the Usos and Ascension. Usos getting the ultimate win, which ultimately I think that needed to happen. But I want to get more into the tag team division in just a moment once I get to American Alpha's match against Breezango. Now here's the big part, of course, everyone's talking about. AJ Styles coming out to cut a promo once again about his victory over John Cena. And ultimately Dolph Ziggler comes off and cuts him off and starts the brawl all over again. They cannot be separated. But ultimately Daniel Bryan decides to put an end to this once and for all. He's already granted the fact that AJ Styles will in fact face Dean Ambrose for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash, but since Dolph Ziggler wants a piece so badly, he's going to give him an opportunity, because that's what SmackDown is. SmackDown's the land of opportunity. So here's the deal. Tonight's main event, SmackDown's main event, AJ Styles against Dolph Ziggler. If Dolph Ziggler can win, then the match at Backlash becomes a triple threat. Dean versus Dolph versus AJ, but if AJ wins, it stays one-on-one between Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. I know I had a mind fart all of a sudden. It's so bizarre. But anyway, we'll get into the main event in just a second. A second women's matchup of the night actually never happened. It was originally slated to be Nikki Bella against Carmella, but as Nikki is giving a pre-match interview, Carmella attacks from behind, pretty much establishing the fact that now Nikki Bella is a babyface and Carmella is a heel. And do I say, yes, fantastic. I am so happy to hear this, to be completely honest with you. Not that I'm not a big fan of either one of these women, far from it. I just think with Nikki Bella returning from her injury, coming back from the neck surgery and returning at SummerSlam, if you heard her, she got a massive pop at SummerSlam. Obviously, Carmella is maybe new to the heel role, but I think it just makes sense in the long run. I think Carmella's character, now that she's running solo on SmackDown, makes sense for her to be a heel, basically. I think it was a smart move from WWE to switch the two of them and make an intriguing match, especially considering that, well, maybe there's a possibility we might see these two win the Women's Championship or not. Even if it doesn't mean that, then we could possibly even see a secondary women's feud, which I'm all for. Women's wrestling making a big splash on SmackDown tonight. Randy Orton coming out to address his Brock Lesnar beatdown. The Brock Lesnar beatdown from SummerSlam, which I think we all can agree was one of the most gruesome endings to a pay-per-view I've personally ever seen in the 20 years I've watched wrestling. But that being said, Randy Orton coming out next to be interrupted by Bray Wyatt. Nothing really to come of this segment other than the fact that Wyatt basically teasing some sort of interaction with Randy Orton. And of course, we're possibly going to see Randy Orton versus... I'm sorry, I am just super excited for this one. I am personally pumped for this one. I'm a fan of Bray Wyatt, and I've never really seen him interact with Randy Orton, and I am all for this. I am hoping this is a long-term major feud to see between Randy Orton and Bray. I'm personally excited, guys. I hope you guys are too. Let me know down in the comments below. Heath Slater does find his ultimate tag team partner. Ironically, it's Rhino, and we'll see the two of them team next week on SmackDown in the continuation of the tag team title tournament. Speaking of which, American Alpha against Breezango, amazing match between the two, but I am a little bit disappointed, and here's my personal opinion on that, guys. I tweeted this out when I was tweeting with you guys live on SmackDown, tweet at OKayFabe, that I think that American Alpha should not be the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And the only reason I say that is because when American Alpha, because they're going to win the championships at some point because they're that good of a tag team. I think what they should be doing is they should put that on another heel tag team, a tag team that could help really kind of tease that moment when American Alpha does win the championships. It could be at Survivor Series, a very short build, only a couple of months, but still it's a build nonetheless. I wouldn't just instantly throw American Alpha the tag team championships, and I'm not saying that because they're not deserving of it, but because I want the anticipation to be built to that moment when they do win the championships. And the only reason I bring this up is because I actually would have loved to have seen Breezango be the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and then have the, because they're just so entertaining. Their in-ring ability is fantastic. Their chemistry is great, and it's just they're such a good role and position in the company. I would have personally made Breezango the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but ultimately, of course, that didn't happen as American Alpha gets the win on an amazing match with Breezango. But nothing compares to the main event. AJ Styles and Dolph Ziggler tore the house down. They did, and I can't... I said this at the beginning of the video. This is definitely, in my opinion, the best SmackDown main event we've seen since the brand extension started. This matchup was absolutely fantastic. For lack of a better word, it was phenomenal. AJ and Dolph had so many near finishes, and I swore a couple of times that it was ultimately going to be Dolph Ziggler who won, but actually AJ Styles using and kicking the ropes, allowing to hit the Styles Clash to get the win. So therefore, we are locked in with Dean Ambrose against AJ Styles at Backlash for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Backlash is shaping up to be a very, very interesting card. You've already got the six-pack challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship. You've already got your main event set. We've got teases of other things in the works. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, of course, and of course the conclusion of the tag team title tournament. And I'm very curious to see what Miz's role is going to be in all this. The still Intercontinental Champion after successfully defending it at SummerSlam. Hopefully, fingers crossed, a rematch between Apollo Crews. But I was a big fan of this SmackDown. There's a lot of things, and a lot of people will be upset over the fact of the design of the championships, and I'm personally not a fan myself. But that being said, this SmackDown I thought was a very good show, and in my personal opinion, a little better than Monday Night Raw. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this whole thing. I want to know what you guys thought. What did you guys think of SmackDown this past week? What was your favorite matchup? What do you guys think of the championships? And please be nice about it. Please keep it respectful. That's all I ask. And of course, what do you guys think of AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler in the main event? Do you think it should have been a triple threat, or are you happy with those singles one-on-one match? I want to hear all your thoughts down in the comment section right here below. Again, hit me up on Twitter at OKayFabe, Facebook.com/OKayFaber, and check out my other YouTube channel. Link all in the description box below. Thank you guys for tuning in for another awesome edition of the SmackDown Rebound. Make sure if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to One Wrestling, and check out OneWrestling.com for all your wrestling needs. Make sure you follow the entire OneWrestling.com family, including the Big Slam Nation, Big Ray, Billy Ray, Valentine, FAMEBLAck, A-Track Brown. I can't even think of all of them off the top of my head. Of course, the legendary Bill Schuyler, and of course, the legendary, the iconic Mr. Bill Apter. Follow me at After One Wrestling. Follow us at One Wrestling over on Twitter, and let us know your thoughts of SmackDown this week. Thank you guys again for watching. Again, hit that subscribe and like button for more awesome content here from One Wrestling. And to quote the legendary Bill Apter, we will see you at the match.